I lead worship at a church in Ohio, and occasionally the preacher will head out this year, and he's got to go do something, and so he'll bring me in to kind of lead worship and then to speak. So this is the first time I've been able to just get up here and speak and not have to lead worship. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be here with you guys. Eric asked me to give my testimony, and the thing is, so I'm going to give my testimony, but I'm going to do it in kind of a little bit of an unconventional way because primarily, like I said, I've been preaching and speaking this year, so I kind of want to tie in my messages. So normally when somebody will give their testimony, what they'll do is they'll kind of tell the whole story, and then the morals kind of come in at the end. But what I want to do with this is almost tie it in like a message and kind of give you guys the testimony, and then speak a little bit of life into that and some scripture references and everything. So let me go ahead and pray over this, and then we're going to get started. God, thank you so much for Celebrate Recovery. Thank you so much for hope. God, thank you so much for the church, for people, God, that we can come together, God, and experience life together and struggle together and repent together. And God, I just thank you so much for that opportunity. And God, I thank you for stories, God, for stories of change. And I just want to pray over everybody in this room, God. Everybody is walking through something. Everybody's going through something. But God, what I would ask is that you would just be in this room and teach us something tonight. Teach me something tonight as I speak to this crowd. In your name, amen. So guys, I have two titles. Here's the thing. So primarily, like I said, I'm a worship leader and I'm a songwriter. And I've gone to Nashville, and there's like this Nashville songwriting, it's like this process that people do. So what they do is basically before you write any lyrics, before you have anything, you get your title ready. And your title informs everything that you're going to sing about. It informs all the lyrics, kind of the music and the tone of everything. So that's kind of how I've approached speaking and preaching and this testimony. So I've got two titles here. And I've got a main title here, and the main title is, we're going to put it up on the screen. It's a phrase, one of my favorite phrases from one of my favorite songs called More Than Able. And the chorus, what it does is it just says over and over, it says, God, you're more than able. God, you're more than able. And then it ends with this incredible line, who am I to deny what the Lord can do? So I chose that because let's take me at the start of this whole story. I'm about to tell you guys my whole story. But like at the start of my story, before I've experienced anything, and I said, God, what are you about to teach me? He would put this phrase up there before me, and then the next one. Who am I to deny what the Lord can do? That's the main title. Subtitle, don't quit the race. These are the two things that God would tell me at the end of this story. Or he would tell me at the start of it so I could kind of have some hope. And this is what I want to tell you guys tonight. Like I said, normally in a conventional testimony, what they're going to do is tell you the story and here's the lessons at the end. But I want to give you guys the lessons right from the start. I've got a bit of a social media following. It kind of blew up this past summer. And what I do is I'll go on and I'll make a 30-second to a minute video. And I'll give some kind of a quick, easy thing that I think is going to bring someone through the day, like God loves you, and I'll talk about it for 30 seconds, and I'll give a scripture reference. So that's what I want you guys to walk away with. The point of this night is not for me to speak and you guys to listen. The point of this night is I want to give you guys something from my story that you can take home to your story. Because every single one of us are walking through it. Every single one of us have something that's going on. I used to think that, it's just a select few that are struggling. But here's what I learned in life. Once you get past kind of your early 20s, everybody gets hit with it. Whether it's kids, whether it's marriage, problems at work, financial issues, everybody gets hit. And so I want you guys to be able to walk away tonight with some encouragement to your story, from my story. My phrase on social media, the kind of thing that I walk into rooms and tell people is, God saved me from suicide and unbelief, and now I sing songs for him. And it's so simple to say, and it's so quick to say. You can say it in like 2 or 3 seconds. God saved me from suicide and unbelief, and now I sing songs for him. But to get that story, it took years. It took years of heartache and problems and issues that I went through. Getting that phrase, it almost killed me. And the thing is, we came up with that phrase way after the story. So like I went through everything. I went through the whole thing. And then when I decided to get back into Christian music, I said, what is something that would immediately let people know who I am and what I do? Someone from California or from New York City. I swear that's a song. That's, California, New York. I don't know. I don't know what song that's from, but that's why those two just came to me. So that's what we came up with. That's what we came up with this phrase with, to try to figure out a way to easily communicate to people my ministry and my message. Here's the deal. We all think life is going to go one way. We have this idea in our heads of how it's going to go. And it's funny because it usually goes the complete opposite of how we think it's going to go. Not always negative, but like you ever hear someone who has some kind of a success story and they'll tell you something like, oh, well, I thought I was going to get this job, but then something crazy happened, I got this job. And so that's the positive end, but then there's negative ends of, oh, I thought this good thing was going to happen, and then the worst thing ever happened. Here's the deal. Here's how I thought my 20s were going to go. Marriage, kids, house, worship leader job, mega church, worship leader job, record deal, whatever else. That's how I thought my life was going to go. That's how I thought my 20s were going to go. Marriage, kids, house. Everybody else got that. Pretty much everybody else got that in my circle. There's this thought that I had. Someone told me one time, and I never quite learned how to work it in, but it was this idea of like, while everybody was getting married, they were buying houses, they were having kids, they were building their lives, I was thinking of ways to end my life and kill myself. And that was my 20s. It was crazy. But let me give you guys backstory, a little bit of backstory here, because this whole thing, Jesus saved me from suicide and unbelief, and now I sing songs for him. This happened over about 10 years. Most of it happened over 5, but a lot of it with the prefacing, it happened for about 10 years. So I want to kind of explain that. Everything before age 21 for me was not good. It was terrible. It was lonely. It was sad. It was dark. And that is like, I don't even place the blame on anyone with that. Sometimes that's just how life goes. But like everything was dark. It was lonely. It was purposeless. There wasn't much God in it. It was really hard to kind of find any joy. And I say that to say, I turned 21. I'd been in church. I'd been doing like worship leader stuff. I'd been leading worship for churches. I'd played Christian music before, but I never really like took it on. It was just kind of something that I did. I was going to college, and I was in my third year of college. Had just ended my junior year. And like I said, everything before 21, I just turned 21, was sad, lonely, scary, dark, depressing, whatever. That was all there. But me and my friends decided to start a Jesus band or a Christian band. I say Jesus band because sometimes if you say that like out in the public and people aren't Christians, they don't really totally understand that. But if you say Jesus band, they'll fully get it. So we start this band and everything's awesome. It's like a 180 on my life. People are getting saved. people are coming to Jesus. We're getting like attention and recognition, and people, like, I'm getting texts and messages. Basically, here's what happened. So we made a music video in 2011, and that's before everybody had a phone and everybody could like record and kind of get their music out there. We just made a music video ourselves, and it just blew up. I mean, it exploded. And so everybody in this local area who paid no attention to me and my friends, we were now getting text messages and calls if you have to come to our youth group. You have to go over here. We went to North Carolina. We went to South Carolina. We went, I keep wanting to say New York City. I don't, it just sounds good. I've got to find what that song is from. Anyways, we were doing all these things. This movie company in this area. Have you guys ever seen the movie Courageous? Okay, so 2 of the actors in that film were involved in this film that was happening around here. And those people asked me, the producers of that film asked me to do the music and have our band be featured in that. So everything was exploding because that, like I said, Courageous was like it was like The Chosen for the Christian world at that time. And these 2 actors were coming over into our film. There was a lot of attention around here, tons of concerts through it. So like everything was just blowing up like crazy. Jesus saved me from suicide and unbelief, and now I sing songs for him. As I've said, I am brand new to this speaking thing. I've always led worship. I've always written songs. I've always got up on stage and we do 5 songs and I'll talk for 3 minutes and kind of say something while the music is going. But the speaking thing is brand new to me. And so as I've been doing it over the past 10 months, I've been able to kind of dig into a couple more things. And I realize this, I have always skipped over the suicide part. Jesus saved me from suicide and unbelief, and now I sing songs from him. I always skip over the suicide part. Not that I wanted to, but I just didn't know how to explain it very well. But as Eric messaged me and told me to give my testimony, I was preparing it kind of with these new preaching skills or speaking skills, and I was like, oh yeah, we can go this way with it. So you guys tonight are going to get like the first bit of any kind of real depth from where that comes, because I have told this story on stage when I'm playing and singing, and there's just not enough time to say the whole thing. There's just not enough time to say the whole thing. So I've kind of got this, so I want to kind of zero in on that tonight. When I've spoke about this before, I've got a movie out there called Rock for Jesus. It's about a little bit of this experience, and it doesn't even really get into this. Basically, that film is kind of about the tagline of how I survived my first suicidal episode and decided, okay, I'm going to keep going on. But it doesn't even really talk about this thing that brought in. And when I'm on stage, I would basically say something like, oh, my band fell apart, family fell apart, friends left. And it's like, all those things happened, but they were a consequence of one thing. And like I said, I've never really had enough time to kind of talk about it. So this is the first time that I'm really speaking about it. So you guys kind of get that. I'm going to take a drink and then we're going to go. It's not awkward. Anyways, we can laugh. It's cool. I probably need funnier jokes. I'm going to come up with them. All right. There was this beautiful girl that I met in the middle of all this insanity of the movie, of the songs, of the shows. I got a job at a pretty big church in this area, and this was 11 years ago. I got a job at a pretty big church in this area. And it's just crazy to me how I look at my life. Like, I didn't even realize when I told you everything was bad before age 21. I didn't even realize that until I started preparing this. And it's like my life from that point just took a complete 180. And in the middle of all this, I get a call from this big church. And to give you guys some perspective, as we started the band, I was starting my senior year of college, and I didn't have any worship leader jobs lined up. Like, I went to school to be a worship leader, but nothing was lined up. No one was giving me connections. We started this band and like 10 church job offers. And I get a job offer from a big church in this area. And I take it, get on the worship team, and there is this beautiful girl that I meet. And I remember it kind of took a while. Like, we'd been doing worship stuff probably for about 3 months. So I started the job in June, and then she started singing, I think it was like in July. And then we went to about September was when we started kind of communicating for the first time. And I remember the first day that she talked to me, it was like I couldn't think of another word for it other than like magic. It was like God hit me in the face with like, this is the person you're going to marry. I had dated a couple people in college. Most people find their husband or wife in college. That's usually where most serious situations happen, or they happen between age 19 to like 23. That's usually where you find that person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. But this situation with this girl talking to me backstage, it was like God smacking me in the face of this is what you've been waiting for. And it was just incredible. And I think she was asking me what we were doing because there's a band called Building 429. We were opening for them later that day. And they got an incredible song called Where I Belong out. And so that had just come out, so they were blowing up. So we went, we had that concert, but she was asking me about that. And I just remember the conversations that we had, and it just felt like I've never felt anything. It's been 11 years. I've never felt anything close to that. It was like this moment of like when I hear married people talk about the moment they met their husband or wife, and it was like God said, yes, this is your person. Like, that was my moment. And it was crazy. So we date, and everything is just wild. It's just wild. There's concerts every weekend. I'm leading worship every Sunday, doing all these things. And her and I broke up. And it's interesting, kind of our cultural perspective on breakups. When everybody breaks up, it's like that's when everybody wants to talk to you as your friend. Of like, oh my gosh, are you okay? I heard you guys just broke up. That's not the worst part. The worst part is when they get with somebody new. And they date somebody new and they fall in love with somebody new. And it's not you, and it's really good. Here's the deal. I just found this out. I just discovered this about a month ago in me. And like I said, this story, I hope it's not confusing. It is just complicated. There are so many elements. So I'm still trying to condense it into a way that it makes sense. If there was like a TV show, you'd probably have like 12 seasons, and you might be able to get through it in 3 movies and then 4 spinoffs. Write that down. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So we break up. But she doesn't break up with me. I break up with her. And that was the worst decision I've ever made in my entire life. And everything that's happened since then is a consequence of that moment. Everything. My whole life switched around, so it was bad, and then I start the Christian band. Boom. Awesome. Her and I date and break up. Everything that has happened, good and bad, is a consequence of that. And why did I break up with this girl? Asking myself that question. Because she was beautiful. She loved God. This is not a story of I met some beautiful person and they were toxic and crazy and narcissistic. This is not that story. That's a lot of people's stories. This person was beautiful. This person loved Jesus. My whole goal in life was to be a worship leader, and she loved to sing. She didn't get on the worship team to meet me and to do whatever. She loved to sing. So, okay, we can do this together, and she loves Jesus. That's the most important thing. She loves Jesus, and we're going to build a whole life together. So why in the world did I break up with her? I'm going to give you guys this analogy here, okay? So, here's the person you're dating, your spouse, the person you marry, your husband or wife. They can give you 100% love, okay? They can give you 100% love. Here is your friends, family, growing up situations, and this gives you 100% love. And when this is at a 0, this person then, to satisfy you or fulfill you, has to give you 200%. They're not capable of that. No one is capable of that. So in my mind, I said, not knowing this, not knowing what was wrong, I said, okay, she's just not good enough. I'll find something better. It's crazy. I'll find something better. It'll be fine. Because nobody is meant to be able to love you at that perspective. Like 100 is full capacity. But the thing is, you can't just have a spouse. This is a little bit of a weird analogy, but you ever heard that phrase, it takes a village to raise a kid? You have to have support from everything. And if you expect one person, this is why you can predict like breakups between people really easily, is usually you just have to look at the home life and look at the friend circles, and you can tell whether it's going to last or not, almost with certainty in my mind. So I break up with this incredible person that's perfect. I know nobody's perfect, but it was so close to that situation, so close to perfect. And then, a little bit of time goes by. She finds somebody awesome, and they fall in love, and we have social media. So, and it's a small town, okay? We're about, I'd like to say like a 30-mile radius. There's probably like 20 mega churches in this area, but like it's still a small town and people are connected. So like you hear stuff, you see stuff. People get tagged in posts and different things happen. So like, imagine the person you fell in love with and you married. And at the height of your love, you have to watch them fall in love with someone else. That's what happened, and I lost my mind. I went crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's strange. It's weird because that's hard to say on a stage. And like I said, it's a small town. So like I keep identities completely because I want to keep her safe and her husband safe and all the situations. You know what I mean? Like it's weird to tell that story because it's a small town, and I try to do my absolute best to keep people like anonymous, which is what I try to do to honor people. But it's like the stage was set for me. And this is probably what you guys can relate to. You're in a situation, you're in life, and the stage is set for everything to be incredible, for everything to move and be powerful, and then something terrible happens. And it flips the switch, and you're now in the worst situation you could possibly be in. That's how I felt. That's where, when I say on stage, God saved me from suicide and unbelief, and now I sing songs from, my friends fell apart, my band fell apart, I moved away, I stopped believing in Jesus for 3 years, I walked away, I became an atheist. I wasn't even mad at God, I just said, I skipped that. I was so broken, I skipped any anger at God, and I said, this just isn't real. I got the wrong information, I'm not mad. Which is kind of crazy because I skipped all the anger, and I just think it's just wild. So I went mad because I had to watch somebody that I was completely in love with fall in love with someone else because I messed it up. My favorite, I'm so glad I get to this part. My favorite preacher ever has this book that he wrote called Crushing. And I discovered it this year. Changed my life. Changed everything. And in that book, he compares God taking you from a baby Christian to someone who can change the world and move things and tell people about God. He compares that to the crushing of grapes into wine. Because what you have to do in order to turn grapes into wine, grapes by themselves will not last long. They can dry out and they'll die pretty quickly. But if you crush the grape and you take it through a process, it then turns into wine that can last for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. I know I said when I was 21, or before, when I was 21 and the band started, everything was incredible. Things were moving forward. I met this girl. Everything was awesome. But I was broken. I was broken from all whatever happened, no matter whose fault it is. It's not even anyone's fault. It just happened. I was broken from 20 years before that. And I don't mean broken like in the sense of like, oh, I was crying in a room and I was alone and I was whatever. I mean like in a perfect scenario, okay, let's say like some place hired me to come speak, I would smash a chair to pieces. For this example, but I'm just going to put this gently down here because I'm... Thank you. Yes. And if it broke, I would pay for it, but it's not going to break. Don't worry. I was broken like a chair is broken. Imagine that's just in a billion pieces. And the chair can't fulfill its purpose anymore. What's the point of a chair? To sit in it. The chair is broken and it can't fulfill its purpose. I was broken. Couldn't fulfill my purpose. I couldn't marry that girl. I couldn't get a big church job. I couldn't get a record deal, get on the radio. I was broken. Couldn't fulfill my purpose. But God, hold on, here we are. God has this process where he crushes us, he takes us, and he knows exactly what you need, specifically the trauma or the loneliness or whatever you grew up with. He knows a specifically designed tool for you to crush you and turn you into something that's going to last hundreds and hundreds of years. And God knew when I met that girl who was going to save everything, he knew what I needed. And he knew he had to take that girl away from me. And then watching her fall in love. He knew that's what it was going to take. Because before I was a Christian, okay? I got a lot of haters back in the day who would say, I don't know, they were watching from a distance. And they would say, oh, well, they were all about themselves and whatever. Dude, we were trying to tell the world about Jesus. We were trying to tell people that Jesus can save you from terrible things in this life. We were trying to do that, but there was this wall up. It was like this wall between me and God. And I couldn't kick it down. I tried to kick it. I tried to push it. Maybe we'd have a wall or something. You know what I mean? All the examples. I tried to kick it. I tried to push it. I couldn't get it. I couldn't break it. There was just something in me, and God had to crush me. It's awful. It was terrible. It was the worst thing. I can't imagine watching everybody else around you, even like my weird friends who couldn't get girlfriends. They all got married and had kids. They got houses and they were killing it, man. It's like God knew. He was like, if I put you on this stage as you are right now, at age 21, you're going to mess it up. If I married that girl, we would be divorced. I'd probably done something stupid. Real stupid. Can't even imagine what, but I was broken. So I watch her and him on social media just through groups. And the thing is, I just realized this too. There's all these things I realized. Why was I checking up on their Instagram? I wanted to see if I was over it. I wanted to see, you know what I'm talking, when you break up and you want to check out someone's Facebook or social media or see how they're doing, you're not trying to like see how they're doing on your deepest level. You're trying to see if you're over it. That was a bad mistake. Here's a lesson. Don't ever do that. Don't ever check up on someone. You walk out. You block them. You get accountability partners. Don't ever do that, because that was the driving force of seeing them. I watched their love story unfold. They got married. They had kids. Got houses, whatever. Like I said, it's a small town, and it's not that I'm trying to stalk. I'm trying to say, are you over it? Are you over it? Are you over it? And I was not over it. It was getting worse and worse and worse, and that happened for 5 years. 5 years straight, no good days. No good Christmases, no good Easters, no good concerts. I can't even believe I held on for this long, but 3 years into it, I said, God's not real. I remember, y'all know a band called the Louisville Crashers? Yes. Okay, so Mark Maxwell, their singer, I don't know if you can tell, but like, yeah, he kind of mentored me for like 12 years. So like I was directly under him for a lot of this stuff, and what that band we were doing, it was like we're going to do a Christian version of kind of what the Crashers were doing. I'm trying to remember where I was going with that, but his hair got in my brain. It was just I'm going to get back to where I was going with that. But anyways, I'd lost everything. I stopped believing in God. Walked away from that. And everything was just bad and bad and bad and bad and bad. And there was no good days, no good anything. It was just all bad. I used to be, and this is kind of controversial, but like, I don't know, maybe it's not. I'm saying a bunch of things I never said before. I used to be afraid of hell. My whole driving force behind following Jesus was I don't want to go to hell. And then I went through those 5 years, and I'm like, I get it. Obviously, like, hell is probably a terrible place, but like, it's like, that's not my driving fear anymore, because I can't imagine anything worse. Like, give me physical pain, that's fine, but like the emotional torment of watching the person you're in love with fall in love, and they were kind of nasty about it. That's the worst turn, is when someone you deeply loved is nasty to you and vindictive and spiteful. That's a twisting that it's just so hard to even grasp. So 5 years, everything is terrible. From 2014, she meets that guy in 2014, and now we're in 2019. I made a movie. I don't know how, but like if you guys ever want to know if God can work through your brokenness and your sadness, I made a Christian movie as an atheist, basically. I mean, I would call it now a heavy doubting phase, but I don't know how I wasn't an atheist. I never went on social media and said it. So like when I came out with this story, people were like, whoa, I didn't know you weren't a Christian. So originally, I've got a movie called Rock for Jesus. It's free to watch on YouTube, free to watch on Amazon Prime, and it came out. And originally, if you've seen that film, there was a lot more faith in Jesus references. There were a ton of them. There were Bible references. There were scripture references. There were spiritual conversations. I took all of it out because I said, I'm not trying to lead people to Jesus. I'm trying to tell a survival story. And that movie gets done, and still Jesus shines through it. He still shines through your brokenness, so you can try to make him stop, but you can't make him stop. That's right. You can't. I'm preaching now. I'm kidding. I don't know how I made that. I don't know how I made that because it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, and I made that through all the suicidal stuff, through all the dark stuff. But everything got worse and worse and worse. And that movie was terrible to make. It was horrible to make. I hated it. I never liked it. We didn't walk on set having fun. It was awful. It was stressful. I had an incredible crew. My sister came in and helped. She filmed most of it, and it was just on another level. So the people I was working with on the film were phenomenal, but it was just terrible in my head. Nothing good was happening. I was just putting stuff out. And so things got bad. That movie got done. And I was living now as not a Christian with no purpose. My whole life I'd been trying to follow Jesus, trying to lead worship. But I was living now as someone really without any faith. I didn't care. I didn't want to pray anymore. I just thought, like I said, I wasn't trying to rebel. I didn't go crazy and party and do a bunch of other things like that. I just said, no, this is the wrong information. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. I wasn't even mad about it. I was just wrong. It was, So, here we are, year 5, 2019. All I know, the only thing I know is pain now. I can't even remember what a good day is like. I can't even remember what joy is like. And I go to see this movie with one of my friends around Easter. It'd been a good day. I had a couple of church friends, and we had this cookout, and then me and this girl, we went to go see a movie, just hanging out. And there's these local previews that play beforehand. I don't know, there was a lawn care commercial, there was a hair care commercial, and then an advertisement for an Easter service came up at a big church. Guess who was in that video? That girl. Yeah, that girl. On the stage, in God's purpose, happy out of her mind. And I put on a face for my friend. As this movie's playing, I'm thinking, okay, we're done. I'm done. So the movie's done. I take her home, fake face, have a nice day. And I get my gun. I got a gun. It's weird, all the prep that goes into this. I tried to get a gun from Bass Pro a couple months earlier, but they were they saw that there was something wrong with me, and they wouldn't give it to me. So I left, and it was kind of I was very surprised the cops didn't follow me. But then I went to this local gun shop, and I was calm and composed. I got the gun, and I remember the guy telling me, he was "Don't get this close to your face when it goes off because it'll burst your eardrums." And I was like, so I get the gun that night, and I'm pulling up her Instagram or whatever, here's the new house. We just bought a new house. We're about to have kids. We're in love. I'm so glad I met this person. He's the greatest person I've ever met. God, thank you for bringing me this person. And I don't know what happened, but I was looking at a photo, and I didn't feel anything. It's for a second, the sadness went away, and I got this second of hope, this one moment of hope, which is why no one should ever kill themselves or stop running the race, because it just takes one moment or one person to change everything. So I feel this moment of hope. I don't even know why, because I'm looking at these photos. I got my gun. I'm about to pull the trigger. And put the gun down, put the phone down, pick the phone back up, call my preacher friend, and I said, hey, I'm ready to come back to the Jesus stuff. I need it. I need it. And I think God's given me a moment of hope, and I want to take advantage of that. So will you pray with me? And he prayed with me. And I go up into my apartment room, and my apartment is my favorite apartment I've ever had. You go up to the second floor, and you look out, and there's this balcony. It just looks out, and you see this whole green field. And he's up there. He's praying to me, and I kid you not, he's praying over me. He's praying this demonic presence out of me. And it's like this black mist just goes out, just blows away. And I woke up the next morning. I was good. I was happy. And I walked out of my door and I was like, am I good? Yeah. And I drove around past the church and I wasn't sad. I'm sure I'll understand that in 5 years. But it's like God was crushing me and crushing me and crushing me and crushing me. Because you can't just have rhetoric and words and stories, and you can't just read the Bible. You have to live these stories out. And that gives you the credibility of the testimony to where you can mean it. Because now, when I get done talking, let me start this. 10 years ago, when we got done playing, everyone would want to take pictures. Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome. You guys are cool. You guys are so awesome. Love what you're doing for Jesus. And now people come up crying, telling me their story. And it's crazy, want me to pray for them and different things. And I wouldn't have had that if I hadn't been crushed. God had to crush me. He took my purpose, which was broken, and he fixed me. Fixed the chair. The chair can now fulfill its purpose because you can sit in it. And I was broken and God fixed me. That happened. 1 month later, there's a band called Seventh Time Down. They got a song, God is on the move, on the move. And then, when you don't know what to say, just say Jesus. They called me and said, hey, come on the road with us. We want you to film some stuff for us. Their singer said, I love your story. I want to help bring you back into Christian music. I got a call from this amazing church at the time. It was incredible. They wanted me to be one of their worship leaders. And it was like a bigger church, like churches do not ask you to be a worship leader. Credible, I don't want to say it like that, but most churches do not ask you to be a worship leader if you are single, and especially in your 30s. They're like, something's wrong with you, we're good. That church asked me to be their worship leader. I met this incredible girl, and I spent Christmas with her family, I spent Easter with her family, I spent Thanksgiving with her family. My ministry just started exploding, but this time it was different. Like I said, it's not the photos. This time it's, oh my gosh, I heard your story. It's the story. My music is fine, whatever. People like what I'm doing because of the story that they can relate to. And it happened because I got crushed. And God has taken all of you through something. And my whole life, I thought when bad things happen, I thought it was the devil. I said, this is the devil. I said, the devil's attacking me. The hell is trying to knock on my door. And I didn't realize that I was in the potter's hands. You guys are in the hands of Jesus. And what you're going through, God is going to take it and take you from this baby Christian into something incredible if you just keep going and don't run the race. Don't pull the trigger. Just keep going. That's all you got to do. It's so simple. It's so simple. It's so simple. But to put those things into practice is hard. So everything's awesome. I'm going to give you guys my biggest pet peeve ever, okay? When they take like incredible movies, and they try to make, like with great endings, they have happy great endings, and they try to make a sequel to them. Like the new Star Wars stuff, okay? I'm going to be a nerd for a second and get on my nerd soapbox. So apparently Han Solo and Leia get divorced in the sequels, and then his son kills him, and Luke runs away, and the Empire comes back, and it's all really bad. That was supposed to be funny. One day I'll find a way to make that joke funny. Hey, there's the laugh. I hate when they do that because I was like, it ended happy. I got my sequel trilogy this year. That church was amazing for a time. Then it was not. And like 20 and 30 people left, and it was a disaster. Me and that girl, we broke up. Financially, it's been insane. I'm in a new church now that's incredible, and there was this girl that we started dating. Didn't really work out, and then she finds this other guy, and now they're dating, and I have to sit and watch them while I'm leading worship, and it's like, okay, this is weird. Now, for the record, just in case you see it, them being together is a good thing. It's awesome, and I'm happy for them. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. I'm saying that just in case someone watches it from the church. But this year has been a mess. But I'm good. I got Jesus. And I get up and I read my devotionals. I read my book. I listen to preachers. I pray. I say, God, what do you want me to do today? But some nights I lay down in my bed. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning and I can't sleep. I have insomnia because of all the PTSD from the suicide stuff. It's very hard for me to sleep anymore. It's just my brain is in constant. That changed my brain chemistry. I can't sleep hardly anymore. And so I'll be laying in bed and these thoughts come to me. And I say, God, you can't. Maybe this year it's over. Maybe he's done with me. Maybe my story with him is finished. He can't save me. But who am I to deny what the Lord can do? My name is Joel Jackson. Jesus saved me from suicide and unbelief. Thank you guys so much for having me.